Losing weight has been such a problem for a lot of people, and there's been so many exercises that have been put online to help people lose weight. But one thing that we usually neglect is the science behind every type of exercise we put out there. So let's find out what is the best way that we can lose weight faster. Is it walking, jogging, or running? This is Feby, and welcome to 5 Minutes with Lafabe. The primary source of energy for muscles is, of course, fat, but this doesn't go with the fast twitch muscles which use glucose. So there are two types of muscles in the body. We've got the fast twitch muscles and the slow twitch muscles. The fast twitch muscles are muscles that are able to be activated very quickly, right there and then. Then the slow twitch muscles are the ones that take longer for them to be activated. So the ones that take longer usually burn a lot of fat, and the ones that are boosted right there and then usually use glucose or sugar. Then we've got there are two types of exercises. We've got aerobic exercises and then aerobic exercises, and both of them use different types of energy in the body. So, what type of energy am I really talking about? I'm talking about ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That is a type of energy that is used by our muscles for us to walk, to run, to jog, sprint, basically all of those things. So, there are two types of there are two ways in which muscles produce this energy. It produces ATP. There's oxidative phosphorylation and glycolysis. All of this happens inside the cell. In the cell, as you can see, there's so many components there, but then our focus is the mitochondria. It's called the powerhouse of the cell because that is where energy is produced. Oxidative phosphorylation produces energy in the presence of oxygen inside of the mitochondria. This process uses two sources of fuel, that is fat and glucose. But it uses more fat, as fat is 85% and the glucose is 15%, which is quite different with glycolysis. Glycolysis is, if you break it down, it's basically sugar. Glyco means sugar or glucose, and lysis means breaking down. So if you see any word that ends with lysis, that is basically breaking down. So this one uses 100% glucose or sugar. In the presence of oxygen, we actually make a lot of energy because with 1 unit of oxygen, we make 38 ATP, which is a lot, making it a very, very effective way of using energy. What happens when you reduce the supply of oxygen to your muscles whilst you're running and you're having difficulties with breathing? Then the body starts splitting that glucose and making it into fuel. So you now go into glycolysis. But then the problem with this is that it does not happen inside of the mitochondria, which is our powerhouse. It happens inside of the cell. And why this is not so good for us is because 1 unit of glucose only makes about two ATPs or two sources of energy, which is different from oxygen. When you've got oxygen, you're making 1 unit of oxygen makes about 38 ATPs. That is a huge, huge difference. So because this process only produces two ATPs, we have a lot of production of lactic acid. Glycolysis is mostly used when we're trying to escape, when that dog is chasing you, or when you're trying to run away from something, or when we're sprinting. That is when we use glycolysis. But then notice it's just short periods of time, and you have enough time to recover. It is very effective in those instances because then we are activating our fast twitch muscles, which is good. We are basically recruiting as many muscles as possible in that instant to just boost us forward. But it's not effective when you're doing long distance. Notice that we are using more sugar. Sugar is basically carbohydrates in our bodies. So when we eat a lot of carbohydrates, it is turned into sugar, then it goes to the liver. So when you're doing long distance running and you're having difficulties in breathing, you're not having a lot of oxygen going to your muscles and using more fat, you're basically using more glucose. What happens is your body notices there's a lack of glucose because it takes a lot. That is 100% glucose. So it takes all that glucose. Let's say you're running in the morning and you haven't eaten anything. So whatever you ate at night, it's going to go to your muscles. Then once that depletes, it's going to go to your liver. Then tell your liver we want more sugar. But then the liver's got a certain amount of sugar that it has to keep, that it never releases. It does release, but it rarely does until, so it will release a hormone called cortisol, which is also a stress hormone. So basically it's stressing your body. So when it releases that hormone, it goes around the body to check for different sources of sugar and carbohydrates so that your muscles can be fed. you can have the satisfaction of being fed. But then when when it doesn't get that supply, when it doesn't have that supply, when your stomach is empty, when everywhere else is empty, it will basically tell your body that you need to eat. So what happens is when you're from running, you go ahead and eat a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugar that you shouldn't be eating. But then let's say you're strong and you don't eat. You don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. You go ahead and eat your vegetables, your fruits. You eat more healthy foods. What happens in that instant is your body actually really wants that sugar. It goes to your muscles because they're the only ones who have the sugar. So it starts to eat up your muscles, break down your muscles, not eat up your muscles, but yes, break down your muscles. When it breaks down your muscles, this is where you find the certain people that have been running for a long time, and instead of them, they have lost weight. They have lost the weight, but they haven't lost fat. So you notice that there are a lot of, it looks like they have a big lump of fat inside their muscles, and it doesn't look, their muscles don't look toned because their muscles have actually shrunk and they've been eaten and wasted, broken down by the body, by their own body. And now when we resort to aerobic exercises, aerobic is like air, so you're basically taking in as much air as possible and you're taking your time. Here we're burning more fat than we are burning sugar. So we're burning 85% of the fat instead of the sugar, which is just going to help you to lose the fat. Okay, not just lose the weight, but lose the fat because your mitochondria and your cells are having a lot more oxygen for them to, the mitochondria rather is having more oxygen for it to use oxidative phosphorylation, which is a clean source of energy, which is a clean way the body uses energy. It's very clean because it doesn't have any side effects like the lactic acid buildup. Then you start having pain in your muscles and all of that. That is not to say you should never run. No, that is to say you should watch how you run. If you are running and you're losing, immediately you notice that you're losing breath, slow down. You have to slow down. You have to breathe normally throughout. You have to talk throughout. So you can start by walking. When you get used to it, you go to jogging. After that, you go to running. But it has to be in such a way that you're not forcing yourself or you're not running too fast that you're not able to breathe properly. You need to supply your muscles with a lot of oxygen, and you have to breathe normally throughout. There's one thing I've noticed even with myself. So when I do a high intensity workout, let's say in the morning, I usually don't feel the need to do a little bit more later in the day or focus on what I eat. But what is more important is that we need to tell our minds, we need to train our minds that even if you did something that was very high intensity earlier or in the morning or later in the day, what you need to do is that you need to do more. You just don't need to focus on that one part. You need to basically do more. It's your body, it's what you want to achieve at the end of the day that really matters. I think I've talked about this so many times, and I'm going to talk about it again. Our diet, we need to focus on what we're eating, what we're putting in our bodies, the portions, etc. You don't have to always look at what you're eating for the rest of your life. No, you just have to have that mentality that you need to watch what you eat. That is just going to really help you. Drink a lot of water. That's just going to flush out all of those toxins. But it's not to say that running is not good at all. If that is your passion, please do go ahead and do it. Do it. It is very good because we're all trying to achieve, we are all trying to do different things for our body. We've all got different goals and the things that we want to achieve. But if you want to lose weight really fast, you can start off by walking. It's walking, but focus on your diet as well. You can't just be walking, then after you walk, then you go and eat a big lump of shima or eat a lot of carbohydrates and eat a lot of sugars. No, that's not going to help you at all. You need to focus on your diet. Most importantly, remember we are all different and our bodies respond differently to different situations. So if running is what works for you, if it's what has worked for you, go ahead and do it. But walking is way better. It is way better. It is. Okay, so this is what I had for you today. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, you share with your friends, family, and everybody that you know. This has been Fabi with 5 Minutes with Laugh Bay. See you next week.